Hi, folks. Georgie again with another wonderful session with Arjun. Welcoming you all to this particular session of talking with our expert. Arjun is one of our community member. What I can explain him in one single sentence is from a hardware geek to a cybersecurity expert. So he's a master's graduate from Northeastern University. Maybe let's hear it out from Arjun, his initial journeys and where he has reached so far. Maybe let's hear from him on his journey. Arjun, maybe over to you so that you can take it from here.
Hey guys, so initially I did my undergrad in computer science from Guru Nanak University. So I always followed my passion. So initially I worked for Dell for 11 months as a technical support, which is answering calls for the public and large enterprises. That is exactly because hardware is primarily my interest at that time. And then I realized I have something more I'm passionate about, which is ethical hacking, all of that stuff. So I worked on it to build a career, so that I came to masters to do cybersecurity, masters in cybersecurity. So initially I choose a course so that it's not the basic level, or it's more which will focus me or give me a diverse picture of entire cybersecurity. So that is how I choose Northeastern for that. And also it gives me the what exactly is happening in the industry and the current trends. So that was the prime reason. So when I started out, I took every different course that I can get my hands on. I worked on network security, cloud security, IoT security, machine learning, cyber security, privacy and practices, risk management, application security, and other areas. And then I interned for Kohlberg Kravis Roberts for 9 months. I mostly handle their incident response. So it's kind of where that is where I brought in my experience as a technical support engineer, handling calls and being there at the time. So those are some qualities or learnings that I brought from my previous job, where coming to incident response, where I handled almost 300 or 400 tickets regarding any network intrusions or any penetration tests or network scans, phishing, all of those stuff. And after that, I worked on a project for the Climate Corporation. It's based out of San Francisco. I worked it as a capstone. I was sponsored for that project by that company, where we developed an open source framework for securing CI/CD pipelines, where we made it as basic as possible, that anyone who's running or starting out any company, any startup, anything, so they can actually plug it in their existing pipeline. It's a plug and play framework. So we try to certify it using the NIST framework, common criteria, all of these HIPAA or PCI DSS, all of these certifications. And so that was the project, and we licensed under MIT. You can even find it on Arjun Katneni in GitHub. And then I started my looking for full time, and I secured a full time role in Securonics. We are industry leaders in SIEM, next gen SIEM, where so basically.
Can you give an explanation for that acronym?
Sure. So basically what SIM does is it kind of aggregates all the logs from companies, where we have 500, whatever number of clients we have, we take every kind of log from them. Let it say firewall log, network log, proxy log, application log, Windows log, Linux log, every kind of log we take in, and we kind of use our intelligence to detect any malware or any attacks, any cyber attacks or anything. And we give it to their analysts so that they can work on it. They can remediate those alerts or maybe stop getting hacked or something like that.
So the system detects the whole. So maybe if, for example, a system detects a phishing pattern, it raises a ticket saying that we expect there is a phishing attack on your system, on your network. Kindly check it, and it will be through analyst.
Perfect. Yeah. So I worked in their, right now I work in their research and development department under the data team, where I get these indicators of compromise from their from our threat hunting team, where, for example, we have an we have an indicator of compromise to find some kind of let's say phishing attack which involves a remote control of a computer. What we do is, for example, I need that IP. I need what particular user. So for example, I won't get everything from one particular log, let's say from firewall or from Windows or something. So sometimes I try to use in all this computer, all these logs I have. I build these policies to take out each and detect each of them. For example, I'll get the IP from firewall logs, and then maybe I'll try to correlate that to the Windows log where I could get the actual username and actually the time frame from an endpoint detection system already installed in an organization, so that I kind of build the policies to actually detect within seconds or milliseconds when a pattern happens. So this can be multiple types, where it can be a pattern based detection, or it's just a particular hash bit detection. And then we apply, we have so many other things like user behavior analysis. We use machine learning to detect, let's say, flight risk employees, or insider threat, which is one which next gen SIM differentiate from SIM. Yeah, that is basically what I do till now, and how I transition from all these areas.
Got it. So from whatever you have explained right now, I think you are more or less a expert in the cybersecurity space as such, and you're really enjoying that particular.
Yeah.
So before going in depth on the career opportunities and those things, maybe let's have some more discussion around cybersecurity as a whole, and how cybersecurity can be implemented in what I'm seeing in a three types of organization. One can be a startup, second can be an organization of around 100 to 500 member team, and third can be an MNC, a very large corporation. So if you can explain how that maybe the team constitutes of in these three spaces. I think you have worked in all these categories, I guess, so you'll be able to explain more on that. And from there, I think we'll go to the career opportunities or the potential opportunities, and maybe we'll also double click on what are the new technologies and new innovations happening in the cybersecurity space. Yeah, maybe on my first question.
Sure. So when it comes to a startup, right? The billing product is more critical because they don't have much credit to spend, much budget to spend on cybersecurity. So initially they struggle to, what I mean, from my experience, from what are the companies I've seen, they struggle to get on par with their IT team first, and then later comes the cybersecurity. But that trend has been changing from last couple of months, where we've seen major attacks, so which have shattered every thought process behind it. So I think this is the right time where every product or every organization, irrespective of any organization, let's say it's hospitality or financial organization or a tech company or a private investment company or anything, they are focusing on cybersecurity more than before. So how usually they do is startup, they don't have much. So if you, let's say you are going to work in a startup as a cybersecurity analyst or engineer or something, so you will have to wear multiple hats, which is very good, because I see there are two types of learning. One, when you go into a huge organization and there's a fixed path that they walk you through the steps of getting there, and when you go to startup where you have no idea what you're doing, but which is also good because you kind of hit every rock and then you figure out. So I think that is how I initially learned. So when it comes to how the usually startup work is, they try to get these open source tools. They try to leverage open source tools, which open source frameworks or anything, so that could save a lot of things. And even they're verified and, let's say, certified by a lot of open source community in cybersecurity. So, and they try to leverage some of these SIEM, which is very critical for any organization, or endpoint detection or firewalls. So they focus on these things. But when you go to an established company, let's say 10 years or 15 years or even more than that, around 200 to 9,000 people. So what they do is they start to branch out. Particularly, they go into incident response. They try to diversify. Let's say you have architecture point of cybersecurity, you have application product point of security, you have that particular product security, and also you have this SOC teams or incident response, where let's say when you come to the in-house support, let's say for example you have to protect the users or protect the employees itself. So that is where you work on phishing or malware or all of that stuff. So they basically branch out. And when you go to a large company, like let's say huge fintech companies or something, what they do is they even branch out further. They not only like detecting or protect or stopping them, they even work on research, how to integrate more security or make it better. Because most of these huge companies, they provide some product or service at a huge scale, which might impact another multiple organizations in a large scale. So that is why they focus more on research as well, including supporting or cybersecurity. So that is, I think, the three main differences. Like startup just work on in-house support majorly, company product or whatever they sell along with in-house support, and huge organizations, they research and in-house support and the product itself.
Got it. So now I think our audience might have got an idea about what exactly is happening in different types of organization. Now let's move into the individual's perspective. Me as a cybersecurity enthusiast or maybe a student, what all are so you mentioned about a SOC team, you mentioned about putting those initial documentation where I think you are again working in terms of creating that protocol in how when an attack is coming, how it can be handled and so on. So maybe can you again dice this particular topic a bit more, and then how each of the teams and what are each responsibilities of a. So there will be a multiple branches. So if you can explain that.
Okay. So initially, so for learning point, right, you can focus on multiple areas, like for example, network security. So when you're learning cybersecurity, it's not like you can focus on any one thing. You have to be, jack of all trades. But after that, when you have the basics, very strong basics in every other factor, only then you can focus on one particular field that you're really interested on. Let's say, for example, risk management and team. It's mostly a theoretical side of cybersecurity, where you need to assess the risk, and it is also very critical because every company needs to know the exact direction, the next step. So that next step needs to be perfect, because so every decision that they make should be a risk-based decision. They have to have risk or everything figured out before they take the next step. So even that is what the risk management team does. Coming to let's say blue team. Blue team is mostly securing the organization or support, where you work on incoming threats, incoming network intrusions, or someone trying to get into the system, or phishing. All of these are handled by the blue team. And and there's the SOC team. SOC team is where you have 24 hours monitoring of the network or your infrastructure and everything, where if something goes wrong, they'll be the first person to attend. And so incident response is something between both of these, where an incident responder is someone who takes that authority when some incident happens, and when someone's confirmed that it's an incident, it's not a false positive, it's not an alert, but someone confirmed it, then someone who are an expertise in that particular area, who takes that hat, who wears that hat in that time as the main lead or the first responder. So they kind of focus the team, they involve the teams required. For example, you need firewall people to handle some firewall stuff, you need application people. If there's some zero-day vulnerability found, you need some developers to fix that issue. So he's the person who involves the C team, let's say the product managers or everyone, and he drives the team to the resolve that. So that is one area. And if you comes when you so this is majorly the working of any core organization or cybersecurity team. But when you grow at a big organization where you have threat hunting teams, threat hunting teams are someone who follow the threats going on or something. They kind of research or follow the threat actors.
Investigation model.
Yeah, so they have a fixed frameworks, or it's more like a red team, kind of purple team and something like that, where instead of not only protecting us, but they also go into the world or monitor dark web and everything, what exactly is happening in the world, so that you be ready if something similar is going to happen to. They are the people who are going to make the organization ready. And coming to the red team is something where they work as a penetration testers, or they have other very areas where they work as an external threat uh, to see the gaps in security or vulnerabilities in your security, so that they can give that information for the blue team, so blue team can actually fix those issues. So that is kind of red team. And even more further, for even if you go to some huge organization, even so these roles are even more diversified. Like for example, for penetration testing you have a separate group, for network security you have a separate group, for application you have a separate group, for support you have a separate group. So these will be still more further divided.
Got it. So maybe you can, so now we can have a session or question specifically on your experience. So you did two things. One is your internship, your 9 months internship, and second one was your capstone project, if I'm not wrong. So maybe something on that, what exactly happened there. You mentioned on the capstone project, you try to develop a framework. Maybe what exactly there, and also on the internship, what exactly happened, and how did you, maybe initially you can start off with how did you get that internship, and from there your experience and your takeaways from that.
Okay. So usually in US you have usually after you can start on your internship after 2 semesters or 1 academic year. So I didn't get my internship due to COVID exactly that time. I got my internship in the last semester, that is in for fall, for spring 2021. I applied multiple online through online and everything, and someone reached out to me through LinkedIn, through one of my connections. They said, hey, these people have an opening or something. So I applied to them, I spoke to them, I connected through LinkedIn, and after a series of 7 rounds of interviews, I got that internship. In the internship, initially, I started on incident response, handling basic incident like phishing or something. And mostly that was my only work for 2 months, or when I'm starting to learn about the organization, what kinds of threats and everything. But later on, I started building playbooks, automating playbooks, handling endpoint detection, the firewall policies, and little bit of that. So basically, I try to badge myself into every other team or every other area in the cybersecurity whole. So that is what I did. And also I developed majorly I focus on phishing, because the company was a financial organization, investment banking. So phishing was major threat to them. So I even brought in an AI based tool, from Fishier, which kinds of detects or it runs through a series of checks for any application, for any email, and then it automatically detects and everything. So initially what I have to do, I literally have to compare the results and made sure, okay, nothing like negative is getting wrong, is false positive or something. Nothing really potentially malicious is not getting missed. That was my primary objective, bring it into the organization. And coming to my capstone, so I use GitLab, because mostly Jenkins is already, everything you can find on Jenkins is online. You have whole bunch of community, and everything you want to do is someone has already done it. So we started on with GitLab, which has comparatively very less background and anything. So we used this framework. So we address multiple issues. Our entire process is to secure the pipeline from end to beginning. So we don't want it to, let's say, what we did is we tried to push the security checks to the left of the pipeline instead of at the end. So for that, we brought in multiple. Everything we used is, we built this project out of zero rupees. We leveraged AWS.
Maybe Arjun, I think maybe you can, before going into this, maybe you can give a small idea about what exactly CI/CD, and then from there, maybe you can, so that we'll get an idea.
Okay, so CI/CD is a continuous integration, continuous deployment or development. So so for any application or any company who's trying to release a product, for example, let's say you have Facebook application. So Facebook application, you get daily updates, it get daily updated. So the process of, let's say, one person writes a code, it goes through a series of checks, and then at the end point, they deploy it to the public facing service, so that on your browser you can actually access it. So there's that entire thing is a pipeline, is basically CI/CD. It can be summed up. So in this process, there are multiple. For example, you have let's say the code itself might have some vulnerabilities. So we implemented some code scanners, open source code scanners and everything. And then there might be some particular things like, let's say some libraries, Java libraries might be vulnerable. So we implemented that. And so, for example, there can be something happening in these public facing servers. Someone might, might have unauthorized access or something like that. They might have created or try to, replicate them falsely. So we try to monitor them using Falcon, which is a real-time monitoring tool, which monitors what the pods and the Docker system, the containers and everything. And also we try to implement Docker security. And for example, also we included network security scans to what exactly is happening in the network, what is coming in, what is going out. And we also use signature-based detections for let's say, known malicious files or malicious softwares or Trojans or anything. Yeah, mostly this is entirely thing. And so and also the entire the end product is a report which we use Splunk to get those results out. We injected all of these individual tools into the Splunk, and we build a framework, the report out of it, so that you can compare between each run. For example, after you update,
again, you can explain about Splunk as well.
Okay, Splunk is a SIEM tool where you send all your individual logs, so that you can visualize the data, or you can read that different formats of data, and you can actually build intelligence out of it. So what we did is so as we're building this product for the particular company, they had particular specifications that they wanted to observe what exactly has happened. If, for example, they run a one pipeline issue where they updated something, and after that, let's say our framework gives them, okay, these are vulnerabilities, you have to fix them. Some permissions, some AWS permissions, container permissions, root level access, if something is missing, all of that. And if there's an opportunity for someone to break out of the container, so all of those issues are also being integrated into our framework. So what happens is, for example, after one pipeline, they got these results that, okay, these are unsecure, you have to fix them. Let's say again, after they fix them, they have to know if something is fixed or not fixed. So we try to leverage after each pipeline, they get different, what exactly is fixed or what exactly not fixed, how different is, like we also give kind of, for example, these are number of vulnerabilities. These are critical vulnerabilities, high level vulnerabilities, low vulnerabilities, and all of that, high threat score or something. And then we try to figure out, give the managers or that particular organization which is going to leverage our framework the power to actually visualize the threats, and also work on that in a systematic way, and fix which are more critical and which are not.
Okay, so my final question, again, two-part question. So first one, So again, we have a mixed audience on our community. So first question would be, me as a ethical hacker enthusiast, uh, what should I do to reach at your level? What exactly I need to learn, or that's all. Second is me as a student who has taken the course of masters in cybersecurity. What next? What are my opportunities?
Okay, so coming to the first part, I think cybersecurity is such a field where in an organization you can be part of it can be any part of it, but when you're primarily interested in ethical hacking and stuff, you might want to look at red team or penetration testing or that area of cybersecurity. But initially when you want to reach there, I think whatever you learn will definitely help you at some point, even though it's completely out of it maybe. But still, let's say you have some financial education, even though you don't need it in cybersecurity, but you're working in a financial organization, you have that mind to understand the working of an organization. So whatever you learn will definitely help you at particular point. So I believe that if you want to focus on this particular thing, you can start on uh, CTFs, capture the flag activities and something like that. But most majorly, I think what you have to get your basics right. For example, some might focus on application, some might focus on network, but having the strong basic in everything is definitely important. For example, you need to have cloud basics, you need to have networking basics, you need to have application, you also need to have you should be able to code or script anything, because in the cybersecurity you need to code because something a lot of people, when I see, even when I started, I was never good at programming, but initially but right now eventually learned in work, which was really hard. When you're trying to learn cybersecurity, you also need to learn coding. So I think that is really one thing that you also need to focus on. I'm sorry, I lost you.
Yeah. So what would be your stack? Maybe if we can give that as well. A normal stack that a cybersecurity expert must learn in terms of the programming.
Okay. So when you Python should be good. Python definitely, it's kind of very easy, and MySQL should really be enough. But if you're working on a red teaming, for example, penetration testing or someone, you need to have that particular knowledge. For example, a low level knowledge of a code. For example, C++ also is really needed. So basically, when you start working on that, and when you figure out which particular area you want to go, after you master all of the basics, then I think you can actually take up that particular programming language, or that basic uh, that more niche requirement that you need. Yeah, and coming to the I'm sorry, what's the second part of the question?
Yeah. Second part was the career opportunity. I think that is where we
Okay.
were.
Yeah, so career opportunity is something, so cybersecurity it's been a boom. So when I started 3 years ago, it wasn't as much booming as it now, because I've seen I talked to a lot of people in LinkedIn everywhere. So I see that, getting an intern, but what I suggest is try to get into a good college where you can have good opportunity of getting an internship. Because in US, where you don't have, when you have a computer science background or some other background, it will be really hard to get into a full-time job immediately. I mean, you have a lot of projects and everything through your master's time to showcase, but having an internship is really important in a cybersecurity, is what it's my opinion is. Even though if it doesn't depend on the college, you can always apply for internship, which is far more easier to get in than a full-time role. So irrespective of what kind of field you work on, for example, I worked on incident response, which is completely different from what I'm doing right now. And this is something which I've never done in my life, which uh, product building and all of that. So when you're starting out as an intern or something, that is where exactly you can learn anything from. So I think if you're passionate on, you just have to, irrespective of getting in a particular role for an internship, you should always look for an opportunity that you can learn on. For example, instead of waiting for a role to, for example, penetration testing itself, which is really hard to get. You can focus on other issues as well. Let's say part of blue teaming, part of red teaming. You can also search for that, because that internship will also give you a lot of stuff to learn, and also will boost your resume and everything, so that you might have an extra leverage to getting your dream job, dream role under cybersecurity.
Great. So I think that was a really informative session for our community. Thank you, Arjun, for your wonderful time and your knowledge. It was really great to know about the cybersecurity. I think there are again more questions. Like I was even thinking about. So when we started the discussion, I again wanted to explore on the innovations and the upgradations happening. But due to the time constraints, maybe on a second session we can have that. Again, once again, thank you very much for the opportunity. Wishing you all the best for your future opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful networking and everything. You're helping a lot of people. That's I wish I had something like this when I started up. I'm starting. So
Yeah,
really,
let's try to bring that up. So some of the things I think we might have missed, but let's try to help that the next community, the next members with whatever we have missed. So that is ultimately the objective for this particular community. Thank you for that note, and all the best.
Yeah, thank you, and all the best for everyone watching.
Yeah.
Bye.